All right, welcome back. This is going to be lecture 4, and today I get to introduce to you my favorite analogy, which is called the Department of Motor Vehicles. For those of you who are uneducated, the Department of uneducated in this manner, sorry, the Department of Motor Vehicles is where you typically go to get your driver's license. So I did want to do a quick pull on project. Cherry, given that you're the only person here, I'm just going to skip this and I'll do it in the Instagram. But yeah. First product, I de facto delayed until Sunday because I only had 2 people submit it, so that's okay. But yes, there's a sign up link for Code Post. Please do sign up for that at some point as well. Why is there? Oh, that's mine. Okay. And then yeah, the second project is going to release tomorrow. So the only thing that I want to say on that is that although this class is free and feels very like low commitment, because it is, um, the projects are really the only way that I can give you to practice. So it is important, if you actually want to take anything out of this course, it's important to do the projects. They are a little bit challenging. You're supposed to need to ask questions. I am stunned that there have not been very many questions in the group chat, but hopefully that will change soon. So today, I'm first going to be talking about what the DMV actually is, and then I'm going to talk about why we're talking about the DMV, and then I'm going to talk about why all your Java programs are governments, and then we'll go over objects and classes. Again, because I know I know actually nobody showed up last week, so I just want to make sure that I give that opportunity for people to chat. So first, what is the DMV? Hell. It's basically where you go to get your driver's license, and it is one of the worst experiences you can have in the world. There are a bunch of different desks, and each of them can or do specific things, right? And they have crazy long lines for no reason. So, what makes up the DMV? Can I do this in this mode? Hold on 1 second. I want to, and then, there we go. So there's a testing desk, which is going to have that's where you do like the pencil and paper tests required for getting your learner's permit, right? Where they ask you, what is the function of the sign that is shaped like an octagon, right? Stuff like that. So the applicant is going to submit answers, and the person at the testing desk grades the tests and stores it in their file on you. There's also the permit desk, which is where you actually get a permit. So they take your name, they check your score, and if your score is good enough, they're going to give you a permit. There's also the information desk where you can look up information about yourself from their file on you, and you can also update your information as well. These are all real desks at the Department of Motor Vehicles. I know because when I first came up with this class, I actually went to the DMV for research purposes. It was hell. I don't want to go there again. But these are all real desks, and it does work like this. So the next question is, why are we talking about the DMV? And the high level is that the DMV is just an object. It is analogous to an object in programming language. The different desks at the DMV are the different methods, the different ways that we can interact with the DMV. Things that you give them are parameters, and things they give you are the return values, right? So when you go up to one of the, when you go to the testing or the testing desk and you give them your answers, that's a parameter. Your answers are the parameter. They then grade those and they store them, and they don't give anything to you, right? The pieces of information that they have on file, so the score that you got on your test basically gets stored as an instance variable, right? And it's shared between all the different desks at the DMV. Other DMVs don't have that file. So if you go from one DMV to another DMV, they don't have that file on you. That may have changed, admittedly, when I first came up with this course. This was 3 or 4 years ago, so they may have modernized a little bit, but it used to be that moving was a massive pain. Anyways, that's off topic. And the constructor is basically how you set up a DMV, right? Now, there is a bonus question. Sherry, you're the only one here. But could you tell me, and this is a hard question, can you tell me what the idea of a class would be in this analogy?
Maybe a class in this analogy. Would it just be like every single person that goes to the DMV? I don't know, something like
No, that's a good guess. In this case, not really. The people that would go to the DMV would be sort of like the people using the object. The idea of the class would be like a generic blueprint for a DMV
Mm-hmm.
rather than being a specific DMV. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because all actual DMVs are instances of this blueprint. So if we actually go into an example of what this looks like in code, we have this one here. Inside of some, public class DMV, we have a method, public permit, get permit, string app name. And what this means is that, is there a way that I can if I click here, does this, okay, yeah. So this permit, this would be a custom object, right? As would applicants, the other objects that we've already defined. But oh yeah, sorry. Assume we've also defined the permit and applicant objects, right? But basically, this is exactly what I described earlier. You actually at the permitting desk, you give them your name, and then if you passed your exam, they're going to give you a permit, and that's it, right? Um, so in our case, we're making a couple of different assumptions here, such as this dot applicants is a box of files, right? And dot get is some method that this box of applicants has to get a specific applicant from that box. And it's okay if this is going a little bit over your head and you don't understand the minutia, as long as you get the high level of how we converted our prior sentence here, this permit desk, right? Permit desk person gets your name, checks your score, and if your score is good enough, gives you a permit. Permit desk gets your name, checks your score, and if your score is good enough, they give you a permit. Otherwise, they give you nothing. Any questions on this so far?
Later, are we going to go over like this and other keywords like that?
Yeah, so we are going to learn about public versus private, this, yeah, all of the different parts, static, things like that. So this we, I believe, covered at last week's session, but the keyword this refers to the object itself. So it's probably easier to just show you an example. How do I get back to the meeting? Oh, I actually have to go back to Meet, click this, click present, do entire screen, share. Okay, can you see? Yes. So if I open this, okay. If we go to lecture 3 and I open character, for example, did you get a chance to watch this lecture?
Part of it, but I got busy with work.
Yeah, no stress. Yeah, so we do cover what this dot name, or we do cover the keyword this in lecture 3. But generally, the issue stems from this. So in our case, we have a character class that has an instance variable, a public string name. We also have a constructor that takes in a parameter name as well. With character race, right, I typically want to assign this value to the instance variable in the constructor, which I do here. But if I were to do this for the name variable, we just get something that looks like name equals name. And this looks stupid because it is stupid. This doesn't do anything. If there is a naming conflict between the variables, right, like the same, a variable with the same name exists in more than one spot, like in this case, it will default to the local parameter, so or the local variable first. So this is the local variable in this case. So in order to refer specifically to the instance variable, we need to use the keyword this. So this dot name is talking about the character equals name. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then public versus private talks about whether or not we can access certain variables from other classes. So this is the tester where we make some characters, right? And we have, excuse me. So we have, a handful of these, method calls, right? So we have Cole as a character, M as a character, Connie's a character. And we get the introduction for each of them. If I run this, right, we get, hello, I am Cole, I am Dragonborn, I have a whopping 40 health, fear me. I'm Emma, I'm a Dryad, I have a whopping 15 health, fear me, etc., right? And these are all of their specific, classes, right? And we can see that it lines up with the data that's been passed in. Now, we also have this take damage attribute here, right? Which results in us taking damage. And the reason we have this is because we want to make sure that, our health can't go below 0, right? So the problem with that, so like if I go back to character, I can make it so that, if HP is less than 0, we're just going to make HP equal to 0. Right, so now our health can never go negative, supposedly. Right, if I save this and I save this and I come back here and I, Cole takes, let's say he takes 80 damage, right? And let's see. Well, that actually won't change the output here. Let me go back in here and just temporarily disable this. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Here we go. So you'll notice that my health only ever goes to 0, even though I had 40 and I now take 80 damage. I don't go to negative 40 health. I go to 0. And this is great, except for the fact that I can do this. Right? So now a lot of our prior assumptions that said our health was always going to be at least 0 is no longer true, because somebody can just bypass the take damage method, which actually stops us from going below 0, and just set HP directly as an instance variable. Does that make sense? I know we're kind of zipping through here, but
yeah.
Like if we, oops, sorry, that's not what I meant to do. If we get to this line, we can see that Cole, has 0 HP because, this take damage does correctly stop it from going below 0, right? But then if I skip over this next line, Cole.HP is going to be set equal to negative 200. And thus when I print, the introduction, I do print that I have negative 200 health. So the way that I, as a programmer, can make sure other programmers don't screw this up is by changing this from public to private, right? And if I now end this and I debug this again, oh, sorry, not that one. Debug this again. We're going to take damage, right? And our health is now at 0. And then we're going to try and set our HP to negative 200. But if you notice, what actually happens is that we have this exception. class tester tried to access a private field in character.hp, right? So basically, because it's private, we can't just set HP out, outside of the class. So that stops that from ever happening. So now we can guarantee that our health is never actually going to go below 0 because this variable cannot be modified from outside of this file. And inside of this file, the only way it ever gets modified is it can only be a maximum of 0 or a minimum of 0. Does that answer your question there?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So going back to this, sure. So things that you should take away from this is think of any method as some desk at a government office. They're going to have some data that's available to them, like instance variables, right? And depending on the task, they might ask you for additional information. So when you go to, a grocery store, they're going to ask you what groceries you're trying to buy, right? When you go to the town hall to get a permit, they're going to ask you for blueprints of your house, right? And then sometimes they might give you something when you're done. If you're getting a building permit from town hall, you're going to give them blueprints and they'll give you a permit. It's an actual piece of paper that says you have the right to do this, construction. But they might not take parameters, right? They might not give you anything when you're done. Sometimes you don't need any. You don't need anything. For example, if you're just updating your address, right? You go to the post office. You say, "Hey, I got a new address. I would like you to send all my mail here." And they say, "Thank you very much," and that's it. They don't give you anything in return. Likewise, they might not need any information. If you go to, oh God, what's an example of one where they don't need any information? I don't know, food bank. You go to a food bank, they don't care anything about you. They just give you some food, right? And they will do the exact same thing over and over, the exact same way, forever, because methods are written one way and they don't change, right? And methods get amazing benefits. That's not really relevant. But we can act this out. So you're the only other person on the call. So I will be the main method and you can be the people counter. Okay? So we're going to do a little bit of interactive role play. You get to be a people counter object. So the way that this is going to work is I'm going to run the code on the right-hand side. Okay? I will tell you, or I will ask you how many people there are. I will tell you to increase the number of people, right? I will ask you how many people there are, tell you to increase the number of people, and then ask you how many people there are, right? And that's it. Those are the only two things that you need to be able to do. You have in the back office, you have a piece of paper with a number, and that piece of paper is titled the people count, right? And it starts at the value of 0. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right. So to start with, how many people are there?
0.
Right. So there are 0 people. I'd like you to increase the number of people by 5.
Okay.
Right. So that was perfect. You didn't give me any information back, right? There's no return value. So that means that this method signature would most likely be void, right?
Yeah.
So this would be public void increase people. And then I say, how many people are there now?
5.
Right. There are 5 people. Perfect. Now I would like you to add 10 more to that count, please.
Okay.
And then how many people are there now?
15.
Perfect. There are 15 people. Sweet. So that was excellent. That's exactly how a method works, right? You're communicating through these allowed methods to an object that is storing some information. Any questions on this so far?
No.
Okay. Well, then that's all I had for today. I'm actually going to hold off on the demo, if you're okay with that, until the next lesson, because I think that would make more sense. Is that okay with you?
Yes, that's okay with me.
Give me 1 second to stop the recording. And we're good.